An agreement was made between the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran, the government of the United States of America, England, France, Germany, China, and Russia.
و بر همین اساس توافقنامه امضا شد بین ایالات متحده آمریکا، ایران، چین، آلمان، انگلیس و همینطور روسیه و فرانسه.
Every investigative body during the years of this treaty arrangement said that Iran had never violated one aspect of that agreement.
همه نهادهای ناظر به اتفاق گفتن که ایران حتی یکی از مفاد این معاهده رو هم نقض نکرده تا به حال.
In America, they said that they gave Iran billions of dollars, but they never said that they were holding over $150 billion of Iranian money, and they were supposed to give it back during the treaty arrangement. But has Iran gotten that money back yet? Can anybody answer that question for me?
گفتن که به ایران میلیاردها دلار پول دادن.
To do on that paper, but America has not.
ایران به تعهد خودش و به امضای خودش که در اون توافقنامه اومده بود پایبند بود، اما امریکا نه.
And with the advent of our new president, President Donald Trump, he did not like the arrangement, so unilaterally he ripped it up.
و با آمدن رئیس جمهور ترامپ ایشون از این توافقنامه خوشش نیامد و اون رو پاره کرد.
And now has imposed, according to what I have read, the harshest sanctions ever imposed on any nation.
و اونجایی که من خوندم و متوجه شدم الان رئیس جمهور آمریکا سخت‌ترین تحریم‌ها رو علیه ایران اعمال کرده.
Allah says in the Quran, the devil promises only to deceive.
و خداوند در قرآن می‌فرمایند که شیطان وعده داده که همه رو فریب بده.
So here we are. Why did you come, Farrakhan? Because this is my family. Along with my family in America, my family in Africa, my family in the Caribbean, my family in Asia. Though I am born in America, I am a citizen of the world because of my Islam.
و سوال این هست که فراخان چرا اینجا هستی؟ به خاطر اینکه خانواده من اینجا هست، همونطور که خانواده من در آفریقا هست، در آسیا و هر جای دنیا. من در امریکا متولد شدم. و سوال این هست که فراخان چرا اینجا هستی؟ به خاطر اینکه خانواده من اینجا هست، همونطور که خانواده من در آفریقا هست.
You have Hamas in the last hour announcing it's going to begin to execute hostages and post video evidence online for every Israeli airstrike. Your thoughts on this moment, Senator?
Well, for every Israeli or American hostage executed by Hamas, we should take down an Iranian oil refinery. The only way you're going to keep this war from escalating is to hold Iran accountable. How much more death and destruction do we have to take from the Iranian regime? I am confident this was planned and funded by the Iranians. Hamas is a bunch of animals who deserve to be treated like animals. So if I was Israel, I would go in on the ground. There is no truce to be had here. I would dismantle Hamas. This is the best opportunity Israel has to destroy Hamas. Take it to the Iranians. If you harm one American in Syria by using your Iranian militia against us in Syria, if you escalate the war by urging Hezbollah to attack Israel in the north, if Hamas kills one American or Israeli hostage, we're going to blow up your oil refineries and put you out of business. It is now time to take the war to the Ayatollah's backyard.
Senator, I want to get your reaction to this because
Well, Hamas is a terrorist group that celebrates the killing of the innocent. Iran's regime, led by the Ayatollah, is a bunch of religious Nazis. They want to purify Islam in their own Shia image. They want to destroy the Jewish state and eventually come after us. This is an effort to kill all the Jews. The last time this happened was Adolf Hitler. The world was late to react. I'm urging the world to condemn Iran. I'm urging the Biden administration to cloak the White House tonight in the Israeli flag. You did it for Pride Month. I want to see the Israeli flag over the White House. The Brandenburg Gate has the Israeli flag. The Sydney Music Hall has the Opera House has the flag. Number 10 Downing has the Israeli flag. Small things go a long way. But I want this administration to tell the Iranians any escalation using Hezbollah to attack Israel or killing of hostages, we will hold you accountable. I can only stress this so much. The Iranians depend on oil revenue for their livelihood. The money to sponsor terrorism comes from the oil industry owned by the Ayatollah. Destroy it. There are 4 refineries. Destroy it. Tell the Iranians you escalate any further, then we're going to destroy your oil industry, and eventually we're going to have to deal with this regime by taking it down. This either. This is hell on earth. This is barbaric. What they did to these Israelis should be severely condemned by all the Arab world. I am going to still pursue relationships between Saudi Arabia and Israel. I talked to the Israeli ambassador this morning. I talked to the Saudi ambassador this morning. Both of them said they're 1,000% confident this attack launched by Iran through Hamas was designed to derail the effort of normalizing between Saudi and Israel. A death blow to Iran would have the Arab-Israeli conflict end. They think this is about stopping efforts for Saudi, Israel, and the United States to do a peace deal. I will be going to the region soon. I'm intent on doing this deal than ever. Your efforts to undercut peace between Saudi Arabia and Israel is going to fail, and we need to let them know they're a legitimate military target. 9 Americans are dead because the Ayatollah planned an attack. He could give a damn if Americans were involved. They're threatening to execute innocent hostages. For God's sake, tell the Ayatollah, if you kill one hostage, you launch another attack by Hezbollah against Israel, we're going to blow your industry off.
Mr. Chairman, may I? Or the 7th. That's not all she posted. She also posted this graphic. Now, this is a fake graphic, I want to be clear, but I think we understand it. This is a paraglider, a Hamas paraglider, depicted here with a machine gun flying into Israel. She posted it under her online alias with the celebratory Free Palestine. Mr. Secretary, what's going on here? Is this typical of people who work at DHS? This is an asylum and immigration officer who is posting these frankly pro-genocidal slogans and images on the day that Israelis are being slaughtered in their beds. What have you done about this?
4 things I'd like to say to you. Number 1, your question to suggest that that is emblematic of the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security is despicable.
I'm sorry, what have you done? This person works for the Department of Homeland Security. Have you fired her?
That was 1 of 4 answers.
Have you fired her?
1.
Have you fired her? Don't come to this hearing room when Israel has been invaded and Jewish students are barricaded in libraries in this country and cannot be escorted out because they are threatened for their lives. You have employees who are celebrating genocide, and you are saying it's despicable for me to ask the question? Has she been fired?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Secretary.
after the consumption of Senator Hawley's time, I'd like to speak.
Has she been fired?
Because I
We
will
would
not
like
be,
an answer. Would you?
because I will not be given the opportunity.
Has she been fired?
So that individual has been placed on administrative leave.
So she's not been fired.
Number two.
Why has she not been fired?
Number two, the individual was hired in 2019.
Why has she not been
Number
fired?
three, I cannot speak to an ongoing personnel matter.
Why has this person not been fired? Your answer is you can't speak to it? This isn't sufficient to fire her?
I am not in a position to speak to an ongoing personnel matter.
This isn't sufficient to fire her? That's what you're telling me?
That is not what I'm saying.
But she's still on your payroll as we sit here today.
That is not what I'm saying.
She's still on your payroll as we sit here today.
Senator,
How many cases? She was an asylum and immigration officer. How many cases did she adjudicate?
Senator, I'm not in a position to speak about an ongoing personnel.
I'm not asking about that. I'm asking you how many cases she adjudicated.
My answer remains.
Did she adjudicate any cases involving Israelis seeking asylum in this country?
Same answer.
Well, let me just point you to what else she posted on social media, where she drew attention to the fact that she is an immigration and asylum officer. Hashtag immigrants, hashtag asylum seekers, hashtag Palestine, hashtag refugees welcome. This is on her LinkedIn post where she has her professional affiliation posted. So I think the American people deserve to know, has she admitted, contrary to law, individuals who should not be in this country or denied Jewish refugees whose genocide she's advocating asylum that they deserve?
Same answer.
You're not going to tell us what this person's done? Are you conducting a review of her cases at least?
Senator, as I have said over and over again, I cannot speak to an ongoing.
You said that you will
personnel
not. I
matter.
can't believe that you would come to this committee knowing this. You know about this. I've written to you about it. You know all about it. And you come here unwilling to answer and suggest that it is wrong of me to ask you the question. Quite frankly, Mr. Secretary, I think that your performance is despicable. And I think the fact that you are not willing to provide answers to this committee is absolutely atrocious.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
By obtaining and analyzing data that's generated every time someone in the U.S. makes a phone call.
One sitting in state, please.
Here's how the system works. Most directory assistance calls and virtually all call records and billing in the U.S. are done for the phone companies by Amdocs Limited, an Israeli-based private telecommunications company. Amdocs has contracts with the 25 biggest phone companies in America and more worldwide. The White House and other secure government phone lines are protected, but it is virtually impossible to make a call on normal phones without generating an Amdocs record of it. In recent years, the FBI and other government agencies have investigated Amdocs more than once. The firm has repeatedly and adamantly denied any security breaches or wrongdoing. The company is Comverse Infosys, a subsidiary of an Israeli-run private telecommunications firm with offices throughout the U.S. It provides wiretapping equipment for law enforcement. Here's how wiretapping works in the U.S. Every time you make a call, it passes through the nation's elaborate network of switchers and routers run by the phone companies. Custom computers and software made by companies like Comverse are tied into that network to intercept, record, and store the wiretapped calls, and at the same time transmit them to investigators. The manufacturers have continuing access to the computers so they can service them and keep them free of glitches. This process was authorized by the 1994 Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act, or CALEA. Senior government officials have now told Fox News that while CALEA made wiretapping easier, it has led to a system that is seriously vulnerable to compromise and may have undermined the whole wiretapping system. Comverse works closely with the Israeli government and under special programs gets reimbursed for up to 50% of its research and development costs by the Israeli Ministry of Industry and Trade. Los Angeles, 1997. A major local, state, and federal drug investigation sours. The suspects? Israeli organized crime, with operations in New York, Miami, Las Vegas, Canada, Israel, and Egypt. The allegations? Cocaine and ecstasy trafficking and sophisticated white-collar credit card and computer fraud. The problem? According to classified law enforcement documents obtained by Fox News, the bad guys had the cops' beepers, cell phones, even home phones under surveillance. Some who did get caught admitted to having hundreds of numbers and using them to avoid arrest. Quote, this compromised law enforcement communications between LAPD detectives and other assigned law enforcement officers working various aspects of the case. The organization discovered communications between Organized Crime Intelligence Division detectives, the FBI, and the Secret Service. Shock spread from the DEA to the FBI in Washington, and the organization has apparent extensive access to database systems to identify pertinent personal and biographical information. When investigators tried to find out where the information might have come from, they looked at Amdocs, a publicly traded firm based in Israel. Amdocs generates billing data for virtually every call in America. On the telephone. How? By obtaining and analyzing data that's generated every time someone in the U.S. makes a phone call.
Once again, say please.
Here's how the system works. Most directory assistance calls and virtually all call records and billing in the U.S. are done for the phone companies by Amdocs Limited, an Israeli-based private telecommunications company. Amdocs has contracts with the 25 biggest phone companies in America and more worldwide. The White House and other secure government phone lines are protected, but it is virtually impossible to make a call on normal phones without generating an Amdocs record of it.
Not going to happen because now is a time for war.
Meanwhile, Iranian-backed militia once again targeting U.S. forces, carrying out the 25th attack in the past 2 weeks.
Ainsley, we have team coverage on the growing conflict in the Middle East. Alexandria Hoff is in Washington with the details on the failed strike on U.S. air bases in Iraq. But first, let's go to Greg Palka, who's live on the ground near Israel-Lebanon border. Greg, what can you tell us?
Hey, folks. Yeah, attention in this part of the country, all throughout Israel, throughout the world, as a matter of fact, on the escalating land incursion by Israeli forces in Gaza against its foe, Hamas. At this stage of the operations, it's entering its fourth day. Israeli tanks, infantry, and other armor are moving in towards Gaza City, the Hamas headquarters, from the north, from the east, from the south. Clashes are reported with militants, including in their vast tunnel network where some of the hostages could be hidden. Israel says an airstrike overnight killed a key Hamas commander. His name is Nassim Abu Ajima. He was responsible, according to the Israelis, for some of the October 7 terror attacks, as well as the militant group's aerial weapons. At least one of the remaining 230-plus hostages has been freed, according to Israel. She is 19-year-old Israeli military private Ori Megiddish. She is said to be safe and in good condition and back with her family and very happy. Despite the fact that much of Gaza is in ruins and civilians are facing a huge humanitarian crisis as they are representing a kind of a human shield for Hamas, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu refused again to call for a ceasefire. Take a listen.
Just as the United States would not agree to a ceasefire after the bombing of Pearl Harbor or after the terrorist attack of 9/11, Israel will not agree to a cessation of hostilities with Hamas after the horrific attacks of October 7th.
And up in here in the north, there are escalating clashes between the Israeli military and Iranian-backed Hezbollah. They are in neighboring Lebanon. We're hearing the drones overhead right now. There are also associated groups throughout the regions, not just targeting Israel, but the U.S. and other allies. This uptick, guys, no doubt triggered by the escalating activity in Gaza. There's trouble on many, many fronts, folks. Back to you.
Lost in them. How did you become the drug man? Come so powerful, and he was the only game in town. Pharaoh saw himself as a god, and he forced the children of Israel to bow down and worship him. But then one day, God came in person. And Moses saw him in a bush that was burning but was not on fire, was not being destroyed. What does it mean? We're not here for no ancient history class. Don't tell me nothing about how I am was I am.
Oh, look at this flare up over here. I wonder, is this near the reservoir? Maybe Jada Hernandez's camera. I'm not sure. Is that Jade?
You can talk to.
Okay, Jade, are you with us? You got a flare up over there?
I am. We are in that same spot that we've been in, and I can tell you, you can see, Mark, what the big concern is. Some of these eucalyptus trees, they don't have them anymore.
Oh, look at this flare up over here. I wonder, is this near the reservoir? Maybe Jada Hernandez's camera. I'm not sure. Is that Jade?
You can talk to.
Okay, Jade, are you with it?
Bible and Quran corroborate that story. The Quran calls it the Valley of Tuwa. The Bible says it was a valley. He saw fire. He went to the fire. And a voice spoke to him out of the fire. He understood the voice. It spoke evidently in his language. Don't tell me nothing about how I am was I am. And Moses saw him in a bush that was burning but was not on fire. Was
up over here. I wonder, is this near the reservoir? Maybe Jada Hernandez's camera. I'm not sure. Is that Jade?
A wise man once said, if
here. County, the coastal town of Capitola got absolutely slammed. The storm-driven sea surge ripped the wharf in half. A major damage also seen in the downtown village along Monterey Avenue. KTVU's Jesse Gary live tonight in Capitola with more on the damage and the cleanup work, Jesse, that might be
Shocking, yeah. I've worked here for almost 2 decades, and I have not seen that before.
I'm Juliette Goodrich. We are tracking 2 fires burning tonight. We've got live team coverage from the Pier Fire in Benicia to the Home Depot fire in San Jose.
A molten fireball erupting into the sky, consuming thousands of square feet. Saturday's Home Depot fire burning for hours, turning the hardware store's contents into kindling, shrouding suburban San Jose into a plume of black smoke seen from 20 miles away. On the ground, panic. The blaze breaking out at around 5:30 Saturday night. About 30 workers and shoppers scrambling to escape.
Vacate the building.
We got fire through the roof. Strategy. Let's get all crews out.
The 5-alarm fire so massive it was spotted from a National Weather Service satellite in space. The 5-alarm fire so massive it was spotted from a National Weather Service satellite in space, raining debris.
Depot and remain on scene tonight. We got a closer look at the damage, and for the firefighters who arrived on scene this morning, even for them, it was much more than they expected.
Just think of everything that's in there, how it's not just a section of the building, like sometimes they put out a fire, a small area. It's the whole thing.
At a Home Depot in South San Jose, look at this damage. The heat was so intense.
2 others are in critical condition, including the man police believe is the gunman. Action News reporter Christopher Salas has the latest on the investigation.
Dan Aaron. It's a secure scene out here on Trout Gulch Road, but it's Killer Collins had been shot in the shoulder.
And when he first woke up from the hospital, he called me and he told me, I killed that blankety blank. And I said, no, brother, you didn't kill him enough.